What's going on, Aces? Welcome back to the channel. So this is day one of the Diddy trial. Shout out to all the content creators that actually flew to New York for the trial. We have what Mims Make It Make Sense is there. Tisa, what Tisa tells. I think I saw um, just a couple other ones that are there. Shout out to everybody. Listen, this trial is everywhere. Okay, they're calling it the trial of the century. And, Cassie, she is coming up. She's pregnant, but she said, you know what? You don't have to use a Jane Doe for me. You can hear from my own lips. And listen, after spending a decade with this man and after everything that we've learned about Diddy, largely most of it against our will, like, he is just inescapable. It reminds me, of what I would think the OJ trial would be if they had social media, but they didn't have social media back then. But this trial is everywhere. So let's go ahead and get into some of the takeaways from day one of the Diddy trial. So it says Sean Diddy Combs sat in a courtroom amongst prosecutors and his defense attorneys during the opening of his criminal trial in New York City today, Monday, May 12th. So, coercion or consent? This is the central question posed to a federal jury Monday on the first day of testimony in the Sean Diddy Combs racketeering and S trafficking trial in New York City. The criminal trial represents a dramatic fall from grace for Combs, who's 55 years old, who founded the record label Bad Boy in 1993 and launched an illustrious musical career under stage names Puff Daddy and Diddy. He has earned 3 Grammy wins and 14 nominations. He successfully expanded from rapper into cultural icon with forays into fashion, alcohol sales, reality TV, and acting. He faced a series of civil lawsuits alleging serious wrongdoing prior to his September arrest on charges of racketeering, conspiracy, S trafficking, and he has been behind bars ever since. Combs has pled not guilty to 5 counts, including 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts of S trafficking, 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. If convicted, he could face a sentence up to life in prison. The Combs trial will not be televised per the rules of the federal court. CNN will have reporting from journalists inside and outside of the court. Here are the key takeaways from the first day of the Combs criminal trial, including opening statements and testimony from the first 2 witnesses. So, prosecution highlights 2 main accusers. The prosecution's case will focus on 2 accusers, Cassie Ventura and a woman identified as Jane, according to the Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson. Combs coursed the 2 women into freak-offs that would last days and took place all across the country, Johnson said. Combs' staff organized the travel and his businesses paid the expenses in what prosecutors described as a criminal enterprise. Ventura first met Combs in 2006 when she was 19 years old. She was a model and an aspiring singer with a hit song. He was 17 years older than her. They began dating within a year of him signing her to his Bad Boy label. They dated on and off until 2018, prosecutors said. Prosecutors also stated that he repeatedly physically harmed her. In 2009, he threw her to the floor in an SUV and stomped repeatedly on her face. Oh my gosh. In another instance, when Combs learned that Ventura was seeing another man, he beat her and brutally kicked her in the back, flinging her around like a rag doll, Johnson stated. He beat her for small slights, such as when she didn't answer the phone or when she took too long in the bathroom. Further, Johnson described one incident in which Combs allegedly made a male S worker urinate in her mouth, making her feel like she was choking. I I don't even have the words. I'm like, what in the R. Kelly is going on? Is I they need to throw him under the jail just for that alone, if it's true, right? Because, we have to say allegedly, I wasn't there, but that is so sick and disgusting. Wow. She goes on, if Cassie didn't do what the defendant wanted, the consequences were severe. Combs used his power and control over her to do his bidding in those dark hotel rooms, the prosecutor said. The other main accuser, known as Jane, began dating Combs in 2020, and he promised that if they did freak-offs, that they would spend more quality time together, but it was a lie. Instead, he allegedly forced her to take illegal substances and stay awake for days at a time. Less than a year ago, Combs and Jane had a physical fight at her home. She tried to run out the front door, but he grabbed her in a chokehold, lifted her up by the neck, and kicked her to the ground. Later that night, he forced her into a freak-off. The third woman, an employee who was allegedly harmed intimately by Combs, is also expected to testify. The jury will see videos of the freak-offs. Prosecutors said that they plan to show the jury videos of the freak-offs, Combs' provocative term for days-long illegal substance-filled performances of the intimate nature. Combs allegedly used threats, violence, illegal substances, and lies to coerce women into participating in these freak-offs, also known as Wild King Nights and Hotel Nights. Then he filmed these to use as blackmail, according to the prosecution. In contrast, the defense said that the freak-offs were between consenting adults acting of their own free will. Both sides made the case that the videos will prove their point. You will see them put on a performance high on illegal substances while they pretend to enjoy themselves, because that's what the defendant said that he wanted, the prosecution stated. The defense said that the videos may be hard to watch, but there's strong evidence that the freak-offs were consensual and not based on coercion. Now, this is what Combs' defense attorney says. Both sides agree that Combs committed domestic abuse or violence. The prosecution said that Monday, Combs had committed domestic violence against past romantic partners. His defense agreed. The defense attorney, Garagos, acknowledged that some of the prosecution's unflattering allegations against Combs, that he had a temper, he got violent when he drank alcohol or used illegal substances and committed this domestic violence. However, that did not mean that he was guilty of racketeering or trafficking, she said. Had he been charged with domestic violence or harm, we would not be here right now. In particular, she brought up the 2016 hotel surveillance video showing him beating Ventura, first published by CNN, and said that the violence on display was indefensible, horrible, and dehumanizing. And listen, I have to agree, right? Like that video was extremely difficult to watch. But I'm glad that the public, saw it for themselves, because a lot of times people think that, people are lying or exaggerating. And especially since, Diddy has been such a well-loved celebrity for so long that a lot of people were making excuses for him. And he himself said, the people were trying to smear his name and, nothing that Cassie was saying was true. But when that video dropped, that was evidence that, couldn't be disputed or wiped from people's minds. So that video dropped by CNN in that hotel is a game changer. It is not evidence of trafficking. It is evidence of domestic violence. He will be responsible. He will be accountable for the things he did, but we will fight for his freedom for the things that he did not do. The defense questions the accuser's motives. As is typical in a trial involving allegations of harm of the intimate nature, Combs' defense said that they plan to question the motives of the accusers in the trial. Sean Combs is a complicated man, but this is not a complicated case. This is a case about love, jealousy, infidelity, and money. She asked the jury to look into what the accusers had received and encouraged the panel to examine how jealousy influenced everyone's actions. Some of the accusers, including Ventura, went to a civil lawyer for a money grab instead of going to a law enforcement. Everybody who testifies has a motive, she added. While the prosecution's first witness on the stand, the jury was shown a surveillance video of Combs beating and kicking Ventura in the California hotel in 2016. That's the one that CNN dropped. Israel Flores, who worked as security at the former Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles at that time, testified about his interactions with Combs and Ventura in the minutes after the incident. He said that Combs attempted to bribe him with a wad of cash for his silence. Ventura had a purple eye, Flores testified, and kept saying, "I want to leave. I just want to leave." Under cross-examination, though, defense attorney Brian Steele questioned Flores about why several details in his testimony were not included in a written incident report that he filed at the time. For example, the report did not include anything about Ventura having a discolored eye and did not mention that Combs had a quote-unquote devilish look on his face, Steele said. Okay, the look would be subjective, but her eye, that's not. CNN first published the surveillance video of the same incident last year, and days afterwards, Combs apologized for his actions. In the pretrial hearings, the defense unsuccessfully attempted to keep the jury from seeing the video. The video is key to the prosecution's underlying argument that Combs used force to coerce his victims, said legal analyst Misty Morris. It's part of a bigger narrative for the prosecution that Combs, in any instance, to get individuals to comply in his criminal enterprise and with the conduct at the freak-offs, that he used violence to do so, Morris said. The man who said that he was paid for intimate relations testified that Combs assaulted Ventura twice. So the second witness is 41-year-old Daniel Phillip. He said that he was paid thousands of dollars on multiple occasions between 2012 and 2014 to be intimate with Ventura while Combs watched and pleasured himself in the corner. Phillip testified that the hip-hop mogul assaulted Ventura on 2 separate occasions when he was with the couple. In one incident, Ventura was on a computer when Combs shouted at her to come here, Phillips testified. When she responded that her personal information was up on the computer, Combs approached her and started dragging her by her hair into the bedroom, Phillips said. He testified that Ventura was screaming and repeatedly saying that "I'm sorry," and he heard what sounded like Combs slapping her. Phillip testifies that he heard Combs say, "B, when I tell you to come here, you come. Now, not later." On another occasion at a hotel, Phillips testified that he heard Ventura yelling, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And I could hear again what sounded like she was being slapped or someone was being slapped around and slammed around the room. Combs walked out of the room and Ventura jumped into Phillips' lap, shaking like she was terrified. On cross-examination, Phillips said that Ventura appeared to enjoy herself and was aroused during their first encounter. His cross-examination will continue Tuesday. Testimony begins with explicit and graphic descriptions. Take note, this trial will be graphic and disturbing. In just the first day of testimony, the jury has already heard explicit descriptions of freak-offs, threesomes, prostitution, intimate acts with urination, masturbation, voyeurism, illegal substances, and copious amounts of baby oil. Y'all almost forgot about the baby oil. 1,000 bottles of baby oil. That discovery was wild. The jury saw and heard evidence of the physical violence too, including a video of Combs beating Ventura and descriptions of her being assaulted from each of the first 2 witnesses. During a portion of the graphic testimony, Combs' daughter stood up and left the courtroom. They returned for a brief period, but left again when the testimony continued in a graphic, intimate nature. One of Combs' sons placed his arms around his grandmother during some of the testimony. Combs' family shows support. Combs walked into the courtroom Monday morning and greeted 2 rows of family and friends with a big smile and a tap to his chest, a thumbs up, and made a heart shape with his hands. At least 6 of his adult children sat in the second row behind them, his mother in between them. Combs' sister was also seated in the same row. Some of his children tapped their chest back to him and smiled. Combs also blew his mother a kiss. The final jury is seated. Prior to opening statements, Monday's court proceedings began with the final steps of selecting a jury. Last week, the court narrowed down hundreds of potential jurors into a group of 43 people that were qualified and willing to serve. Many of these potential jurors said that they had seen some media coverage of the allegations or had seen the hotel surveillance footage of Combs beating Ventura. Even so, even so, all of them pledged to listen to the evidence and remained unbiased. On Monday morning, attorneys for each side took turns executing peremptory strikes to narrow the pool of the panel of 12 jurors and 6 alternates. Prosecutors were granted 6 strikes, and Combs's defense team were granted 10 strikes for the main jury panel. Both sides had 3 strikes for the alternates. The jury panel of 12 is made up of 8 men and 4 women. The alternate group consists of 4 men and 2 women. The defense challenged some of the government's peremptory strikes over suggestions of racial bias. The judge, however, denied the defense challenge, saying that the prosecution gave race-neutral reasons for their selections. All right, so that was the article from CNN, day 1 of the Diddy trial. So we know that his family is there in the support, to support him. I wonder how much they knew. It was really disturbing, so much so that the twin daughters walked out, which I don't blame them. You know what I mean? Hearing all of that. I know this has to be hard for them. Cassie is there testifying, which I'm glad that she's able to get her truth out, since she experienced that firsthand. But this is going to be a very interesting trial. It's going to be the trial of the century. So that's what people are saying anyway. I don't know. Ain't no telling. These past couple years have been crazy. I feel like ever since COVID, things have just been out of control. So although people are saying this could be the trial of the century, tomorrow something even crazier could happen. Who knows? But anyway, you guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, Aces. Bye.